Hello, all my fellow riders out there. Straight out of your local sports book, this is the Irish Stallion, Sean Galway here. And even with a broken leg, it doesn't stop me from gambling on myself. I'll be back one day, and that's right. I'm here right now with the Dirty Bird, right here on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Come on in. Sit down. Episode number 136 of the Sit Down Marks podcast. I'm your boy, DB, of course, the host here on the Sit Down Marks podcast. And today, another extra special pod for you guys, man. As you guys know, we've been doing a little series inside of the Sit Down Marks podcast where we've been updating on everything that's been going on with Sean Galway and his injury, in rehab and recovery of his injury since March of 2024, earlier this year. But I want to thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and SportzWire Radio. And I want to thank everybody taking the time to watch us tonight on YouTube and Facebook page. So quickly, in a nutshell, everybody, if you're listening for the first time, first of all, thank you so much. We appreciate it. But Sean Galway, the Irish Stallion, he broke his femur in his right leg earlier this year at Iron Spirit Pro, which is a wrestling promotion in Normal, Illinois, back earlier in February of this year. And like I said, since then, we've been following along in Sean's process of recovery and rehab. And today we're going to be checking in with him just to see how things are going. Just past 7 months removed from the injury. So without further ado, man, let's see how this cat is doing, man. It's good to see his face, man. Welcome, everybody. The Irish Stallion, Sean Galway. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man.
Thank you, DB. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Good, man. Always good to see you, man. So, right off the top, man, a lot of people have been asking me, lately, kind of anticipating this pod happening, because this is, I believe, our third, update here with you. Like I said, about 7 months. And so we want to see where you are, man. We want to see where you are physically, mentally, how life is doing. So, if you can just, maybe just kind of wrap all that up for us, here, before we kind of get really into it. So how you feeling, man? How's the leg? And, how's your mental state of mind through all this?
It's good. It's good. Leg's feeling great. Just was at the gym last night doing more leg workouts and stuff like that. Squatted a little bit with the bar. Felt good.
Nice.
It's been a slow ramp up the last couple months. Been taking it easy still. Everything's come back still slowly. Running is pretty good now. Jumping's a little, here and there-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Just I can with 2 legs, it's good. With just taking the impact off of 1 leg, it's still a little bit of work needs to be done. But everything's been kind of starting to get better over the last, I'd say, 2 months. I've seen a lot of of my strength and muscle size come back a lot in the last, since mid-August or so, I'd say, is when things started to kind of turn around a little bit.
Yeah, super cool, man. That's good to hear. So I know you were probably a little apprehensive about doing normal things, getting back in the gym. Let's talk about running. That's a big impact, on your legs as you're, running. So how fast are you running? And, are you doing anything uphill, or are we staying kind of?
Yeah, uphill a little bit. It's been mostly just treadmill stuff for right now. Because running outside in the heat is rough. So I'll probably, with the weather kind of cooling down now, I might experiment with some more, outside runs and stuff like that. I just bought brand new gym shoes and stuff like that. So
sure,
I'm excited to kind of, try them out and stuff like that on some trails. But with running, the biggest thing is just, not so much the leg itself. It's the muscles around it. It might be my knee. Sometimes it might be, I've had, gone through a couple of bouts of shin splints this summer, where you gotta just, take it easy for a few days or a week or so and then kind of come back to it. My hip also kind of gets a little bit stiff and sore and stuff like that. So like that's just kind of more weaknesses I had to kind of address with band work and stuff like that. So it's I think I might have mentioned this before on the last episode or whatever, but I wasn't great before my injury about working on my legs and stuff like that and dedicating a lot of like time in the gym specifically to those. I was bad avoider for it and stuff like that, just a bad habit of like just like neglecting it. But
Sure.
Now I think definitely for the rest of my life I never will, just because I have this imbalance in my legs. So yeah, that's been kind of like one of my focuses. But running has been not too bad. It's getting better every time I try it. Going a little bit further too.
Yeah. So you kind of feel like you're always going to have to kind of work it out. You always have to be doing squats. You always be doing, you know what I mean? Like working on the legs. Everybody hates leg day too, man.
Yeah.
You have to learn to love it. Huh? Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the gym. What's that like going in there? Are you strictly doing, are you back to doing, like other body workout, or are you strictly just kind of working on your legs?
Oh yeah. I've been, touching everything as, back, back, biceps, arms, shoulders, chest, whatever, abs,
Sure.
Doing my normal routine as I was before, I had my injury and stuff like that. I just been like easing into certain, compound movements, like, deadlifts and, squats particularly. But it all kind of depends on the week. Sometimes, like this past month has been pretty busy just with like a lot of outside stuff going on. But
sure.
Before that, though, it was kind of like a slow ramp up where the first, I'd say from like May when I got like cleared to go back to the gym till about like July was like definitely like mostly like leg work and stuff like that and some core work too, just to kind of keep, everything like strong in my base and stuff like that.
Sure,
so
yeah, the core.
Because it wasn't like as useful to me to kind of like work out my upper body as much for the first couple of months because my right leg was so insufficient. So but ever since that point in like midsummer, I've been kind of like back to like a normal like split and stuff like that in the gym. So I've been really killing like the sled. That's been like my number one revelation to me in the gym. Just like the sled has been like because it's like I can kind of work my whole legs,
sure.
My entire lower body, and like there's no real impact to it. It's not the same as like squat where I'm like under that heavy load. I can load up the sled as much as I want to or am able to and push and pull it as much as I want to. And then it's also like a fantastic cardio workout for me too. So it's been kind of helping me build back that part of my my routine back up as well, because like the cardio is completely gone right now. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's been kind of like the other hard part. So I was dying a little bit in the gym last night, but it feels good to kind of like burn some of the rust off.
Sure. And it's got to feel good to kind of get back into doing things that you were doing pre-injury. Anything except for wrestling. So, So how do you feel right now with your leg? Like as we stand 7 months, you feel like you're right where you should be? You feel like you're, pretty good on recovery. Have you been to the doctor lately? Have they got any kind of update from anybody them saying, hey, you're doing good? No.
I mean,
Okay.
like, it's odd. Like, I mean, well, the other part too is that my surgeon was 2 hours away. Like I got the surgery in Bloomington,
right?
Where I got hurt at Normal Center, the Normal Civic Center, Convention Center, or Community Center. Third time to try. So when I got hurt in Normal, I got my surgery that weekend in the hospital there. So like I haven't seen those doctors since my 6-week checkup post-op, and after that, at that checkup in mid-March, they were like, or the end of March, they were like, yeah, like everything's healing up good. Like you don't have to come back. And we were like, really? Me and my mom were like, oh, really? We don't have to drive 2 hours back here. So,
sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I did, get started with my PT right after that. So I've seen my PT for, about 6 weeks after that. So, through the rest of March and early April, or all of April, was working with him and stuff like that until I kind of had to go back downtown to like my real job and stuff like that. And there were some other kind of scheduling conflicts with that. But I mean, he was kind of also like, hey, you're good to kind of go in the gym. Just obviously take it easy and be careful and no heavy load just yet. Wait a few weeks before you start doing any of that. So I've been kind of like just taking it at my own pace. And I've checked in with my PT a few times during the year and stuff like that. And I'll probably go back and see him here really soon here when I have a moment. But yeah, I think 7 months in, I'm right where I think I need to be. It's felt at times it feels like I hit a plateau, and then like randomly I feel like I take the next step or I take the next jump where I need to. I'm like, oh, okay, I can go back to this level of intensity again, like in rep range or weight. So it's been just being patient, taking the good with the bad. My leg hasn't like really hurt in a long time. So that's, been a great sign. So like, I think I'm, right where I need to be on target.
Nice. Yeah. That's what I was kind of wondering is if I didn't know like how many times, you would go see a doctor, during an injury like this. So that's, why I was, kind of asking that. Another question too is, I'm sure like in the beginning, right, when you're first starting to put weight, or maybe like the first time you went to the gym, right, and you're starting, maybe the first time you pushed on that sled, right, or something like that, like you feel that little bit of doubt kind of in your head, or, you're kind of waiting to see if it's going to hurt or not. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I mean, with any injury that's coming back, from that, but do you feel like that's going away? Like you're kind of feeling more like, all right, kind of feeling like my leg did pre injury, or is it still kind of sticking there a little?
Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely feel like a lot of that like heavy doubt is starting to fade, but I don't know if I'll be like, it may be a full year before I get to that point where I'm like, I feel completely normal, like where I'm just like, I don't think about it, or I don't think twice about like loading up the bar, with a few plates and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm so like, I don't want to have a setback. That's the biggest thing that I think right now I'm managing right now is I don't want to have a setback where like I injure another part of my leg or, re-injure something, or I pull something, because the muscles are still kind of growing back to their normal state and stuff like that. So I don't want to like strain them or push things too hard. So it's been kind of just steadily like every week, trying to do more and not like, and just making sure that I hit every part of my lower body, like glutes, hamstring, calves, working on my ankles too, ankle strength, foot strength, hip mobility, hip strength. So I'm just taking a very like, methodical approach to everything where, I want to make sure that like I'm anxious. I'm starting to get very, very anxious to get back. And everybody's, no one's pressuring me to go back. It's still just like all on me, but I'm still kind of trying to push myself to continue progressing forward. Cause, even though like it's that I'm kind of re-experiencing that leg soreness for the first time again.
Sure.
It's like that good kind of leg soreness where like there's like the muscle fibers are breaking down and rebuilding themselves stronger than they were previously. So it's kind of like just a steady progression with everything I do, whether it's, leg extensions where I'm putting more weight up there, or I'm doing, trying out new different leg exercises that I haven't tried before, that I didn't before the injury, to kind of like strengthen my knees better. Cause that's probably the biggest vulnerability I have, even more so than my femur, I think, is my knee. Cause my knee definitely was super weak after the surgery, and it was really stiff. And even now I have a lot of crackling and popping in the knee. So it's kind of like Rice Krispies, but I have been down. So, there's, some kind of, there's hip mobility issues there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things kind of like affecting that. So I want to make sure that like, I address all of those like symptoms. And stuff like that.
Do you feel ever the actual rod in your leg?
No.
No.
I've thought about that. I think about that sometimes though.
I had to ask,
I keep thinking like, am I ever gonna feel like the screws or something?
Yeah. I'm wondering if you'll be like one of those people that are like, oh, it's going to rain tomorrow because my elbow has a rod in it that's hurting right now or
I
something.
do get kind of stiff and sore when it rains, though, for real. Like that's kind of true. I can't figure. I still don't have the sixth sense developed yet.
Sure,
when that's coming, but like it does get like on rainy days, like I am like a little bit sore and stiffer. So I don't know what it is, but
it's humidity or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, how's everyday life? Like, I know you take the train to work, so you were doing a lot of walking. How's you feeling okay doing that? How's driving in a car? How's that? Anything good there?
Yeah, everything like normal life is normal now. It's like,
Good.
and it's been normal since probably the last time we talked, which I think was June, right?
Yeah.
Or was it July?
One of the two. It was the summer for sure.
Yeah, midsummer. At that point, I was just getting back into the thick of things in my normal life, but now everything is like I went to Ride Fest a week ago. Went to the Korn concert in Tinley Park.
Hell yeah!
Oh, dude, it was sick.
I bet it was.
Yeah, I mean, I hopped in the mosh pit for a little bit. It was fun.
Oh, that's gutsy.
That was kind of one of those things too, where I was like, I hopped at the pit at Ride Fest when I was seeing Slayer, and it was kind of a muddy day, and so I was definitely like, cautious about like going in. I was like, well, maybe I won't, but then like I was feeling a little like motivated to jump in. Just to, like,
adrenaline kicks in, man, when that music is ripping, dude. Yeah, I know the feeling, man. I used to do that, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was in there for long. I just needed to kind of feel something,
Yeah, right. Yeah, have to let you know you're alive, man. Yeah, the adrenaline going. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just gets my blood boiling. So I mean, like, things like that. Like, and I felt fine the next day after that. Like walking, running, going up the stairs and stuff like that. It's all kind of like back to normal. Which, if I was not a athlete or a wrestler, like it would be kind of over by now. Like the story would be done. But it's like there's so much more to go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where things kind of fork off, and but yeah, like daily life is pretty normal right now. So I mean, like going working all the time and stuff like that, going to the gym at night, doing things on the weekends with friends and family. But yeah, the leg is no longer like a issue in that regard. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear too. So it sounds like you're, right where you need to be, good spirits, and like I said, it's about 7 months removed. So, let's get away from the leg injury, man. Let's talk wrestling, man. Like, so 7 months removed, you've been to a few shows now. I saw you at Iron Spirit Pro in July, and you kind of been back out on the scene a few times. So where are you at right now with your head? Like how do you feel about wrestling right now as a performer? Yeah.
Yeah, I have Dynamite here, just off to the side here,
sure.
Just out in the background. I just want to be able to see this Okada Danielson match.
Did you like Danielson and Nigel?
Yeah, that was great.
That was good, man.
Yeah,
it was awesome for us ROH guys.
I know, and to see Nigel at All In Wembley, that was fantastic. Oh, that whole match was great.
Yeah, it really was, man.
Yeah. I forget the rules of that match every time it starts, and then like I realized 10 minutes later, oh, it's just a big scramble. But
yeah, I know, right? Nigel was like surprise.
Yeah, but with wrestling, where my head's at and stuff like that, it's like it's so. I'm coming up now on almost 6 years since I started training. Next month will be the 6-year anniversary, and I'm so grateful that I decided to become a wrestler.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I would have done with myself these last 5 years. If I hadn't, I would have definitely felt. I kind of go through my normal life, and I'm like, right now I'm kind of like, doing all these great things with my friends and family, hanging out with my girlfriend and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's been a really, really fun summer. Actually, I've had a great summer. But there's still something where I'm like, kind of like, something's missing, and it's very easy. I think one thing I've learned about myself is that, I'm very, much like, if I don't have something to push me, like, I am more than content to just sit back and like veg out and laze out and just be like, a bump on a log, kind of like. I mean, I pushed myself more in those 5 years with those guys at freelance and my trainers at freelance than I ever had in my life. I mean, being a pro wrestler was the hardest thing I ever did athletically or physically in my life. And, not having it makes me appreciate it so much more, because it just, if I left it the way it was and I left things, in February and never came back, I'd feel like, there'd be a big hole inside me, or a big gap in my life where, like, just something left unfinished,
Sure.
where I didn't even try to come back to it or anything like that. Just feels like, so shitty, to use, some bad French, but, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to, I'm trying to get back in that mental mindset where, like, last night where I was at the gym, I'm a lot of times too, like, I'm looking at videos on Twitter and YouTube, and I'm seeing my friends, doing incredible things, at different promotions and stuff like that. And they're what's kind of reminding me, like, to like come back. They're reminding me, like, silently, like, to like, this is what, you're missing out on. So, like, and that feeling that, like, that cardio start to come back too, and I'm like really winded real quick, and it's trying to build that back up is tough. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
But that's what I'm trying to retrain my brain to, like, embrace again, is that, like, uncomfortable feeling. And, because, like, when I get back in, in the ring and start really doing work, it's going to be hard. Like, I'm nervous for that part of it, but I'm trying to, like, mentally, like, prepare myself for that challenge, and trying to, because I know that those guys are going to push me to, like, give my best, and, like, they're going to, like, help push me through it. So, that's kind of like where I'm at right now with the state of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine, like, right now running the ropes?
Yeah, I can. I mean, for a few seconds, but then,
right.
like,
I mean, as they say, wrestling's a different type of cardio, right? You know what I mean?
So different.
It's stop and go. It comes in spurts.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I can imagine that would feel pretty wild for you at the moment. But are you? I feel like you're missing probably everything else that comes along with it too. You're probably missing getting in the car, making a town. On good weekends, making a couple of towns, you know what I mean? Like, there's that part of it too, right? And you're always, seems like, riding with other guys too. So there's got to be, like, a part of you that definitely misses that part of it too. You know what I mean? Because, everybody says that's where it's where it's made, is in the miles. So,
100%. That's absolutely true. I mean, like, I was supposed to go to, like, South Dakota this year, to go to New Sound Wrestling. That was gonna be, like, a new promotion I was gonna, like, check off my list, but I got hurt just before that show, and one of the guys that's helped run it, Tommy Douglas, he had reached out to me back in, like, the springtime. I was like, hey, if you're back, in time and stuff like that, we have, in the fall we have another show. If we'd love to have you on and stuff like that. So I appreciated his reaching out to me and kind of offering that up to me, but I won't be ready by November for sure. So,
right.
I'll be kind of, like, rolling by then a little bit. getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, just like things like that. Like even though like those trips are daunting sometimes, like they're well worth it in the end. It's kind of like it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So yeah.
All right, so I mean, tell me. I mean, you've been coming to a few shows, and when I saw you at Iron Spirit Pro, you were even helping, breaking down some of the ring. And I'll be honest, part of me was like, "Fuck yeah, man, hell yeah!" Like he's jumping right back in there, like like he's right on track, man. I love it. And then the other half of me was saying, "God darn it, Sean! Like stop! I don't want you to get, what I mean, don't hurt yourself. I don't want anything to happen.
Yeah,
I want everything to stay there. So, but I mean, or I want you to stay on track, obviously. But so just tell me how you feel at these shows, man. Are they, kind of, are they, just tell me what you're feeling when you're at them. Are they good? Is there parts of it that are kind of like, man, because.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, like it's it's great. It was great to see everybody at that Iron Spirit show. Like I was so happy to see everybody. But it's kind of like at the same time, it's like everyone kind of feels a little bit of pity for you and stuff like that when they're talking to you and stuff like that, and they're like, they know where I'm at and stuff like that, and there's nothing that they can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it except for continue to just wait and recover and stuff like that. And you always think about too, like, about like the spot, like, am I going to lose my spot? Like, and nobody's spot is there forever. You always got to earn your spot no matter what, like on every single show. And, it's hard to, I was on a good track. I was on a good rhythm, like with Iron Spirit and stuff like that. I was kind of getting back into the flow with freelance, and then the injury happens and stuff like that. And everything's kind of like, back to square one, which, that's fine, because it's like, I wouldn't want to like come back, right away and just kind of like insert myself back to where I was. Cause like, the people have stepped up in my absence in certain spots, and they've, made it their own. And, that's their spot now that they've worked for and earned. So, when I come back, I'll put in, the same work as I did before and earn my place back on the card, wherever that is, pre-show, opening, semi-main, wherever it is. So, I mean, like, I'm, looking forward to just kind of like reestablishing myself like that and just kind of proving people, that maybe thought that I, wasn't, prepared or ready for that spot that like I was, and I was on the track. So, I mean, like, because there's been plenty of people who have, not said to me directly, but, kind of said to me like, oh, like, nobody would blame you if you didn't come back and stuff like that. And where it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I mean, like, no one,
Why,
I mean,
because they're thinking it's a devastating injury kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like that. It's impossible to come back from that. I mean, like, I don't know. So I do feel like there are, and not to like name names specifically, but there's been some conversations I've had with people and friends and family and stuff like that too. Not just, people in the business, but I mean, like, just, people who have been like, well, maybe you should stop. Maybe you should like think about something else and stuff like that, where, they don't seem to have like the faith in me that I can like come back and be the same person that I was. And like, that's kind of like one of those things that like, that's been also like kind of getting in my head a little bit, where like, I'm like, okay, like, that's why I want to kind of like, begin my ramp up, in this coming season here, fall, and just kind of like really kind of like show people that like, that this isn't just some kind of like hobby for me. Like, this is like what I want to do my whole life,
right?
And that I want to do it to the best of my ability. So, that kind of thing, like, and I kind of think back to like certain times in my life where like I was never like a fantastic athlete in school or anything like that, but like I definitely can remember certain moments where like I certain days like on the lacrosse field or soccer field or other sports like that, where I'd kind of like find something extra that day, and I'd like step up and kind of like show people like, oh wow, this guy has like more than we thought he did.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where, my angle is coming from a little bit in my recovery process. So, I definitely want to, prove people wrong, that I can come back strong again and come back as good as I ever was. So,
For sure.
yeah.
And, this kind of proves too that, you want to be a wrestler. You're coming back no matter what the injury would be. You know what I mean? Like you would come back. So I love that. I love that mindset, Sean. Like that's it, man. Like you got it. Like that's it. But I know you've had a lot of time to, maybe had a little more time on your hands to sit and think about things. Let's talk about the Irish Stallion gimmick. Have you thought anything about, anything with that? I do want to say what kind of made me think about this is Jared is in the chat right now on YouTube. Thank you for watching, sir. He said that he thinks that whenever you come back to Iron Spirit Pro that you're going to be the biggest baby face ever.
I know. Hey, hey now. I mean, Irish Stallion's about himself first and foremost.
It is. I
mean, if the people want to start betting on me finally, then hey, that's up to them. That's their money. I mean, yeah. I just know I'm going to keep betting on myself every time I'm in that ring, win or lose. So I mean, so we'll see what happens. And to talk about that a little bit, I've thought about that. I mean, like I was saying before, like no spot is given. Every spot is earned. Like if I come back and I'm shit, there's nothing that says that like I deserve to be this or be in this spot. Like, from the moment I get back in the first match I have, like I got to bring it and I got to show people that I'm worth betting on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I'm at too. So, I mean, while that, that sounds, idealistic, and I have thought about that stuff before where, be great to have this big hero story and stuff like that. It's about like, earning it and about showing people that I deserve to have that spot. Just like, Cody Rhodes, for instance, like when he came back, a few years ago and like he started like first match in, he had a complete classic banger match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and he, fought through that terrible pec injury and, reestablished himself as like the guy. He like left no doubt in people's mind with his work rate, in the matches that he was having, the promos he was cutting, that he was the guy. Like, so before he was given that belt. So, yeah, I mean, like the people want to bet on Sean Galway, like I'll make him a winner. So
love it. Being at the shows, is it, kind of make you want to like maybe, do a little commentary or, be involved or any, I know when I saw you at the show in July, I asked you, if you wanted to do anything, you're like, no, not at all. So, but, did your mind change at all, or you just kind of want to stick to the plan and come back and
I mean, I'd definitely be open to doing commentary one day, but
sure.
I think just for now, I think I'm good where I'm at. Commentary is a hard job.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing. I mean, like I'd love to give it a shot and stuff like that. But it's just not in my immediate plans right now and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like I mean, down the road, like it'd be cool definitely to get behind the mic, because I mean it's a great way to develop mic skills and your character even a little bit more. So, but yeah, it's something to think about.
All right, brother. I got two questions for you, man. We're going to talk a little football and get out of here. So how's the DraftKings account looking?
Brutal.
Are we in the green? Are we in the
No, no, we're deep in the red. We're in the reddest part of hell.
We're only like, 4 weeks into football and we're not doing good, huh?
Yeah, I gotta adjust some strategies this week for sure. Like, honestly, there's been no scoring going on.
Right.
There's been not a lot of scoring right now, so that's been kind of the hardest thing.
It's cover two, man. It's a cover two.
These two high safeties, dude. It's crazy.
I know.
But I just lost again. I had a 4-pick parlay on this wild card for the baseball, and I was hoping the Orioles would like maybe wake up a little bit, but they just could not wake up and answer the bell against Kansas City. So that was out. But I think the Mets were hanging on when I last checked, but I don't know if they're still up right now against the Brewers. But I had Tigers, Orioles, Mets, and Padres today. So I'm out today. So tomorrow's a new day.
There's that mentality. Tomorrow's a new day, man.
Tomorrow, Thursday Night Football.
whole new slate, man. A whole new slate. I'm gonna ask you a question here, man, before we start football. But first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SportzWire Radio, Audible, and all those podcast platforms out there. If you're listening to this for the first time, not long after Sean got injured, we kind of both, came up with this idea to kind of help, educate, anybody that may break their leg, not just wrestlers, coming back from injury. This is kind of what Sean's been going through, his everyday life. He's been sharing it with us. So, Sean, I just want to thank you again for taking us along this journey, man. I think probably after tonight, we're going to be checking back in with you after the year mark. It's probably a good time to come around there and see where you're at. But, just want to give you kudos, man. And everybody's pulling for you still. There's even more people in your corner than was before. Like, Iron Spirit Pro, I'm getting asked, questions about, when you're coming back, and I just say soon every time. I just say soon, I think that's the best answer. So, but yeah, just wanted to thank you for bringing us along and really appreciate it, man. So, before we talk a little football, brother, this is a question I'm always going to ask you at every podcast that we're going to do. I've asked you, this will be the third time, and I'll ask you again after a year. So what are the current odds for the Irish Stallion Sean Galway on returning to independent professional wrestling?
Well, now, there's been a few line shifts since then, but it's been getting even more heavy on the favorites. So I think it's probably minus $1 million still, even with a little bit of shifts in the odds. But I think we're still at a heavy favorite.
There you go. No money to be made, so stay away from this one because he's coming back, folks. He's coming back. So, all right, Sean, let's talk about our other passion next to wrestling. So if everybody's checking out now, we're going to talk a little football for the last few minutes. So I want to thank you for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those podcast platforms. I want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook. So, all right, Sean, we talked before NFL started. We both stand here going into week 5. Our teams are 2-2. Let's talk about the Bears first, man. Let's talk about them. They've got me watching because, Caleb's kind of golden boy right now. It's kind of, want to see what he's doing. He's setting some records now. You know what I mean? And he's got a couple of touchdown passes under his belt now. I love the one where he threw his first one. He was arguing with, was it a lineman that came in for the play or something? He had his first ever touchdown, and it was Caleb's first ever touchdown too, right, or something like that. Yeah. So they were like going back and forth over it. So how you feel about the Bears, man? Are you week 5, man, you got the Panthers this week. Is that at home? That's in Chicago, right?
That's at home, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that should be a win. So should be.
No Andy Dalton revenge game.
Yeah. He had that one, so he got it out.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Yeah, but God, I fucking love football, man. I love football season. I love it. This time of year when I'm looking, going, oh, yeah, man, we're only like week 5, man. We're good. We got so much going. I'm still optimistic. I'm still in. I love this time of year. But, yeah, how you feeling about the old Bears, man?
Bro, I love them right now. It's, defense is looking as advertised, which is great. They look like a top 10 unit. And, God willing, there's no major injuries on like that very fragile like defensive line, because one guy goes down and like they'll have no pass rush at all. Like if Andrew Billings or Montez Sweat goes down, like, it's gonna be pretty difficult to get any kind of pass rush on them at all. They're still kind of lacking in the league and on sacks and things like that, but they're not dead last like they were last year. Right. So I guess that's an improvement at this point. But the offensive line is just a complete mess. Like they don't have the talent to. They're not going to stay healthy for the rest of the season. They're going to be kind of a patchwork offensive line, and it makes me concerned that Caleb's going to get hurt. In a few weeks, like that. I mean, like Panthers will be hopefully like a little bit of a break for them because they're hurt too. Like their best defensive players are all out. Like both their linebackers are out. Derek Brown, their defensive tackle's out. So I mean, they should have a little bit of a off week in terms of work, but and then they have to bye week 6.
So their wins were Tennessee
and Los Angeles.
The Rams last week, yeah. Okay.
Who were also very hurt. So I'm not making an excuse. I won't apologize for being 2-2, but I mean, like they did have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp out. So I mean,
sure.
Matthew Stafford was slinging it, without those guys. So I mean, we got the win. The offense figured out how to put together 2 drives.
Yeah, I feel like they need to make a move, to get an O lineman. Waiting on the draft's probably too long. You know what I mean? So, get one there too. You know what I mean? But somebody will come available probably, something like that. Shoot, man, like where does Devontae Adams go?
Yeah, I know. I'm like so into this rumor now. I mean, like the Raiders need to like pull the Band-Aid off and like just they're saying they're trying to win now, like which is like you're trying to win now with Gardner Minshew as your quarterback, which I don't think Gardner's really that bad of a quarterback, but he's definitely like bottom third of the league's top starting quarterbacks. I mean, like and he hasn't even been really utilized. I know he was hurt last week, but I mean, like before that, not so much. And they have no run game at all. The only like bright spot on their offense is Brock Bowers, who I have in fantasy. He's been awesome.
Tight end, yeah.
Yep. So I mean, it sounds like he'll go back to the Jets and reunite with Aaron.
That's the logical, makes sense one, right? Like,
yeah, I could see, but it's like, what are they going to trade them? I guess a second, for Devontae or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember how much he's making a year, 18, 19, something like that. But, I was trying to figure out, if it makes sense, like for Atlanta, I'm like, do we give them Pitts, instead of a second round? You know what I mean? To me right now, it seems a little more, I feel like I'd let him go more than Drake. I feel like while Pitts is still kind of high, he's going to, I don't know. It's like, but, but I don't, I was trying to, figure out,
I can see him going, I don't, the Raiders said that they don't want to trade to the Chiefs, but I mean, like if the Chiefs throw you like a 2, like you got to like maybe consider it. Cause I mean, like they need to rebuild that team like badly. And it's like what he's going to be a problem in the division for like a season or 2 at the most. Like Devontae's like 33 years old or 32 years old. So I mean, like how many more good years does he have? I mean, like
he's not like a fast receiver. He's more like a precision route running type receiver. And
he's just so big, that's everything. So
I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, like he'd look good on the other side of a Dunsey, but if he ain't got no O-line to give him time to get to him, then
we already have our old ass receiver. Don't worry. And then we might. I saw a scenario today where the Bears trade Keenan Allen and Khalil Herbert to the Chiefs for one of their O linemen, which kind of made me think wasn't such a bad deal because like they have great O linemen. I forget the name of the one they said. I think it was a left guard, and which we need because Tevin is perpetually hurt. Tevin Jenkins and Khalil Herbert's the odd man out apparently in Chicago in the running back room, and then Keenan Allen, like, even though we haven't really got a chance to see what he's capable of with Caleb, I feel like it's kind of it wouldn't be very helpful to Caleb if they took him away this soon.
Yeah,
I could understand, sacrifice now in the short term for the long term future with a better O lineman. So I mean, I wouldn't be super bummed about that, but. Yeah, man. I don't know. What about you? What about the Falcons? I mean, 2-2. They looked good against the Eagles for a little bit. I mean, well, they made the comeback win, of course.
Yeah. Kurt looked like amazing in that last drive.
But before that, like he was like nothing. And ever since then, he's been kind of nothing.
Yeah. So we lost to Pittsburgh, ugly game. He was throwing passes like with his eyes closed. I'm like, man, we're supposed to get the Vikings cousins, not the Redskins cousins, or not the Commanders. But so yeah. And then I'm like, okay, and then he looks really good. And then we play with the Chiefs. I'm never going to be that guy to say, hey, it should have been a should have been a call on this, on this play, that kind of stuff. But man, the dude had Pitts wrapped up in the end zone, man. Like, I don't know how you I don't understand, but yeah. Anyway, so I feel like we could have still maybe pulled that game out on the field goal or something. So I'm like, so that gave me a little bit of hope. I'm like, okay, we're at least playing, with the Chiefs, at home. Who knows what it'd be like if we played them there, so that gave me some, it gave me some hope, and then last week, Kurt played okay, but when he had to play good, he played good. I'm like, do we just need to run 2-minute offense or something all game? You know what I mean? Cause it seems like that's the only time he had been really playing good, and the Saints, if we're terrible, I want to go 2-15. I want to beat the Saints twice every year. That's I want, they're the Packers to us. You know what I mean? Like you are, the Bears and Packers are. But so I always want to win these games. So going in last night or Sunday night, I wasn't feeling too good about it. But the defense kind of bailed us out. On a couple. On a couple crucial 3 and outs, late in the game. So that felt good, man. I love our secondary. It's pretty sick. You know what I mean? So and 14 of those points that we scored was on defense. One was a muff special teams punt return touchdown, and then they intercepted Carr for a defensive touchdown one time. So, yeah, that's right, Jared. The Aints. Yeah, that's what we call them. But yeah, so a lot's right. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm still optimistic, and if we get blown out tomorrow night by the Buccaneers, I'll take it a little bit. All right, not so much, but I want to play with them tomorrow night. And if we lose a close one, I'm still in. If we get our asses kicked, I'm kind of going to be like, we might have a long way to go. You know what I mean? But, a lot of people's already on Tampa's bandwagon already.
Yeah, I'm on the Tampa bandwagon. They're so good. Right. Through 4 games. Yeah, I thought I had picked the Falcons just like everybody else to win the division back in August, July. But and it's still early, the NFC South is so crazy. We have 3 teams that look like they could be viable winners.
Sure.
Everyone thought the Saints were going to the Super Bowl after week 2 because they had 2 back-to-back blowout games, and
they killed Dallas.
In fantasy, and I was like, okay, this is my ticket to finally winning and stuff. And then he has 2 back-to-back games where he's under 12 points. Right. So who's to say what's going to happen? I think with both of our teams, we have 2 new quarterbacks with 2 new offensive coordinators, 2 new offenses. I think it's just going to take time and game reps.
We got a new D coordinator too.
Yeah. So, and honestly, you guys are playing good defense too. You guys were playing great against the Eagles. Played the Chiefs real tight and stuff like that. The Steelers, just for whatever reason, they were getting yards on you guys with Justin. So,
yeah.
But
our next 3 is we got Tampa tomorrow night, Thursday night at home, and then we go to Carolina, I think, the Sunday after that, and then I believe at Seattle. So
Seattle looks good.
Seattle looks good, yeah, and they played with Detroit, yeah. So, so I'm still optimistic, man. I'm still in. I still think we're probably gonna, get in probably somehow, but yeah, I just
Yeah, I think,
man, I want to be on Kurt. I want to be on Kurt's bandwagon so bad. Like I want to be on it. You know what I mean? Like I want to be on it like I was on Matt Ryan's. I want to be on it like I was on Chris Chandler's in late '90s. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There's a name you probably didn't think you'd hear on this podcast,
nope.
right? You know what I mean? So, so I want to be all in. You know what I mean? Because I mean, shit, man. He's making a ton of money. And a lot. I feel like people are either like, oh yeah, he's great, or oh yeah, he sucks. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen anybody that's kind of in the middle on him. You know what I mean? Or most people are on him, but like I don't know, man. I just want him to be consistent. You know what I mean? So I mean, as we all do with our quarterback, but so.
Yeah,
But,
it's Chicago's like on like God, like things were bad here after week 2. I will say that. Like after that Texans Sunday night game, like people were ready to jump off the roof or jump out the window because they were like, "Well, what do we do?" And it's like it's week 2 of a rookie's, career. Like I mean, things are gonna, he's been getting progressively better every week. Like he's shown bits of improvement every single week and stuff like that. And I think he'll have he'll put together his first good full game against Carolina. I think they're the perfect opponent to like really, iron out some kinks and stuff like that so that like he can go into the bye week, be like, okay, I got 5 weeks of NFL experience under my belt now. I can kind of go into this next leg, which is a really long leg without a break, and kind of like work things out. I hope, there's been the chemistry on offense has been kind of weird. Like, he keeps overthrowing DJ Moore and Roma Dunze. And, Keenan was hurt for 2 games, so he's still kind of trying to get back into the fold. So, I think the Bears will be movers at the trade deadline here in a few weeks for sure, as I think maybe even Atlanta will too, because if they need more help defensively, I think that they should do it. But I still like the Falcons to go like 9-8. You know what I mean? Like I think they'll put it together here. I think the Saints may not be as for real as we thought, but I feel like it's gonna be another bottleneck like we had last year.
Yeah.
8-9 or 8-8 going into week 17.
Yeah, I mean, usually for whatever reason, I guess the NFL thinks the Panthers are our rival now, and maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe I'm holding on to the old school days, whatever. But like we're gonna play the Saints again, I think pretty soon, and then we have Tampa again pretty soon, and then no other division games until we play Carolina, I think at the end of the year. So there's not going to be any any division games after probably in about 3-4 more weeks. So it's all going to be
that's actually kind of rough.
Yeah. So
they may not hit their stride until like week 13 or 14, and for the Bears, like they play all their division games at the second half of the season. Like they don't have a division game until week 11, I think, and then they play all 7 or all 6 games, like in that period from like week 11 to week 18. So I think the only 2 teams that they don't play are like the 49ers and the Seahawks in that stretch. So like I think the other thing too is that we're so limited with like Matt Eberflus as our coach. Like the Vikings have started off fantastic. Green Bay, and then the Lions look like Super Bowl contenders already. So, like we're still basement dwellers of the
division. Yeah.
Even though we've gotten better, we're still not good enough, and we have this like ceiling on us. We could have gotten. We were all saying like to get rid of Eberflus last January, fire him, and align the head coach and the QB for once in the franchise's history, but they refused to do that. So
yeah.
We could have had Ben Johnson or Jim Harbaugh or somebody more competent, but it is in Chicago, so we'll just keep riding it out and see if Caleb's the guy or not.
Yep, here we are. All right, man. Before we go, Jared said he gives you a tip for the weekend. He said Bears are going to cover the spread this weekend. That's your bet.
All right, yeah, I believe that 100%. I don't even know what the spread is. I think it's -4.5.
Is it? Okay. I was kind of surprised, man. I'm sure it's going to move, but Atlanta was 1.5 favorite going into tomorrow night. Thursday night football. So yeah, we'll see. But all right, buddy. Well, good to talk a little football and a little wrestling with you too, man. As always, a pleasure to see you, man. Thanks again for coming on the podcast ever so often and updating us on how life is going and everything, man. Really do appreciate it. Look forward to see you back in the ring one day. So we'll come back and talk. Let's say somewhere around March. We'll check back in with you March, April, somewhere around in there.
Yeah,
and see where you are after about just over the year mark. So once again, the Irish Stallion, Sean Galway. Go check him out on all his socials at the Sean Galway. Sean, thanks again, brother, for coming on today, man.
DB, it's always a pleasure, my man.
All right, buddy. You too, man. All right. I want to thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and SportzWire Radio. Thank you guys so much for watching on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be back here in just about a week and a half. We're going to be talking AEW Wrestle Dream and WWE Bad Blood. So check us out. We'll see you guys later. Top guys out.